Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. Have we got a debate point for you? Some breaking news from David Ornstein that it will be Lenny Yoro or De Ligt for Manchester United. Nothing, not both. So Manchester United are after De Ligt or Yoro. We've got a live poll if you're watching live. Also, an update on Wan-Bissaka, Ugarte, and also I think it's worth having a bit of a chat about, with 25 days to go to the start of the Premier League and one official signing, are we now starting to approach an area, maybe it's not Ineos's fault, where the deals aren't happening as quick as they need to be? Are we putting ourselves in a position where we've been in many years before, where we won't actually be ready for the start of the season and are therefore hindering the incumbent manager? We'll talk about that, because some people are saying that this morning. It's all right backing a manager, but if you don't get the players in and you subject him to having to pick people like Maguire and Lindelof at centre-back, then how can you expect him to challenge for top four? We'll talk about that as well. But let's hit the big news this morning. We're going to be talking about what David Ornstein has put out this morning, that Manchester United are not looking to sign Yoro and De Ligt. It would be Yoro or De Ligt, one or the other. They do want two centre-backs, but these are not the two centre-backs that they want to go for, i.e. Branthwaite was a left-footed centre-back and De Ligt and Yoro are right-footed centre-backs. Essentially, reading what David Ornstein is saying is that Manchester United see it as an either-or in that right-side solution, probably the replacement for Varane. So £43 million to Bayern Munich for De Ligt, £44 million to Lille for Yoro. It's an either or. I think we need three. I agree with Ken. I have my concerns about this and we'll delve into it. But I think it probably explains something, I would say, from an observational point of view before we get into opinion. Plettigol yesterday, who's based in Germany, said that the De Ligt deal had gone very quiet for the last 72 hours. This fits in, does it not, with what David Ornstein is saying? Why is the De Ligt deal not progressed when Netherlands went out of the Euros? We'd agreed personal terms. He wants to come and Bayern Munich have set a price. But United haven't put the bid in over the weekend or yesterday. And it's all about Yoro. So I think it does fit. And look, I'm not going to question David Ornstein when he puts that out. It's one or the other. I mean, there might be other journalists where you go, well, they might not be right. I think when David Ornstein says it's one or the other, you pretty much know it's one or the other. But it does make sense as to why people like Plettigol are saying that Man United haven't followed through with the De Ligt deal and put a bid in, because they're waiting to see what Yoro wants to do. And I think that's really interesting. And I would also take it to another level and say, do you think we've got a bit of a Ten Hag versus Ineos thing going here? I mean, look, I'm not somebody that wants to generate that because I want everyone to work together, but there will be disagreements. And maybe Ineos want to go down the Yoro youth player for the future, development, etc. And maybe Ten Hag wants somebody that's still young, but comes in and is ready to go straight away and knows how he wants to play. We know Ineos like De Ligt. It's not that they're both going at De Ligt or Yoro. I think Ineos may well be prioritising Yoro and saying we will get De Ligt if we can't get Yoro, but Yoro's the priority. Whereas for Ten Hag, you probably want De Ligt because he's more experienced, more of a leader, and he's ready to go this season. Whereas Yoro is 18. So it's weird to me how we go either or. Because there's a lot of things I want to get into, and I'm sure a lot of you have got your opinions, so let them know. But if you're just tuning in, the breaking news is that the reason that we haven't finalised the De Ligt deal is because we're waiting to see what Yoro wants to do, because we will go for Yoro over De Ligt. And look, I'm happy to say that. David Ornstein hasn't said that. He said it's Yoro or De Ligt. I'm happy to say, reading between the lines, it's Yoro who is the priority, because we can sign De Ligt like that. We could do that. We could have done that on Friday. So it's very obvious that Yoro is the priority, because De Ligt wants to come to Manchester United and Bayern Munich want to sell him to Manchester United. So if he was the priority, we would have him already. I think Yoro is the priority, and we're waiting to see if we can convince him. And if we can't, we'll go for De Ligt, which, again, publicly, it's a little bit like the manager situation. We will keep you, Ten Hag, but we're looking to see if we can get anything better. We do want you, De Ligt, but we're looking to see if we can get anything better. It's a bit of a weird thing how Ineos operate. And it'll be very interesting to see how successful that is going forward when you make it very obvious that, you know, you're looking for better options before you settle on the one that you go with. But look, I think that when I look at the centre-back situation, and it's interesting, we've got a poll up and 67% are De Ligt and 33% are Yoro. You know what I would, JM says, no interest in Yoro, need players who want us. I mean, that's a good point we'll come back to. But you know what? I don't have a Lille season ticket and I don't watch the French league. So the limited stuff I've seen of Yoro is based on people I respect, you know, writing articles on him, and little clips here and there. So I'm not a Yoro expert. What I know about Yoro is that he's 18, Real Madrid want him, Liverpool looked at him, PSG looked at him, Man United looked at him. He's clearly a very, very talented player that's got the potential to be absolutely incredible. On top of that, if you actually read some of the respected people's analysis of Yoro, he is very much potential. Like when he plays for Lille, his centre-back partner brings the ball out the back more, plays more passes than him, is more aggressive than him. He tends to hang back and be a little bit more conservative. And there is definitely a lot of potential there, but he's certainly not a centre-back that, you know, commands the back four, takes the ball, brings it out into the midfield, you know, goes and wins every 50-50. He's very much developmental. And then you've got De Ligt, who is 24, going to be 25 next, you know, was winning titles for Ajax at 19. Yeah, I mean, look, he hasn't done as bad as people think he's done at Bayern and Juventus. He won the title the first 2 seasons he was there. But the first season he was there at both clubs, respectively. And he's definitely ready to go. So I am a little bit confused by this. The credibility of David Ornstein means that it's true. But just because something's credibly true doesn't mean that you go, yeah, that's great news. For me, I am not happy about this. Not happy in like a, you know, oh, it's the same old shit from United. Far from it. I'm still very confident that we can get things done. And we'll talk in a moment about whether you're getting concerned about how things have slowed down. And not only slowed down, but we haven't even got one centre-back in. And we are debating between 2 for 1. We need 2. So, you know, how much longer are we going to wait on Yoro and keep De Ligt waiting on our first centre-back signing? I'm just massively concerned that at the start of the season, we're going to see Maguire or Lindelof playing for Man United. And I'll tell you now for free, whatever you think about Maguire and Lindelof, if you're sending Man United into another season where one of those 2 players is going to start regularly, then we are going to jeopardise top 4. And that will be on Ineos. That will not be on Ten Hag, because he's tried to sell those 2 players last summer. And he will try and sell them now. And if Ineos don't sell them and replace them, that's on Ineos. If Ineos had done all this bloody big review and they still think we can go into next season with Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire, we can only go in with one, and that's Johnny Evans. Harry Maguire and Lindelof need to go. If we start with them next season, we will be jeopardising top 4. It's as simple as that. Everybody knows we need 2 centre-backs. We need 2 anyway, because Varane and Camboire have gone. But look, I would go with De Ligt because we cannot afford a season of potential. I think next season is so important. There are too many doubters out there in the fan base and in the media to allow Ten Hag's 3rd season to be another reset. It has to be momentum. And if you want momentum, you need to bring players in that are ready to go. And De Ligt is ready to go and Yoro isn't. So for me, I would go De Ligt. We need a player that is ready to go. We are replacing Raphael Varane. De Ligt is a better replacement for Varane. He is more experienced and he is ready to go. Whereas Yoro, at 18, is going to be a real problem in the Premier League, and he might not hit the ground running. So I would go De Ligt. I understand why people would go Yoro. But the second thing I would say, and the most important thing I would say, is that De Ligt wants to come to Manchester United. There's never been any doubt about it. We've had the updates. De Ligt wants to come to Manchester United. We've heard from Fabrizio. He is not talking to other clubs. He has told his agent he only wants to come to Manchester United. There were expressions of interest, I think PSG and another club, and De Ligt has said, no, I want to go to Man United. That's my priority. So we've got a player that wants to come to Manchester United in De Ligt. In Yoro, we've got a player whose dream is to play for Real Madrid and is delaying because he wants to go to Real Madrid. So straight away, in the balance here, and look, David Ornstein said it's Yoro or De Ligt, not me. So we know that's true. But in the balance of Ligt or Yoro, more experience, ready to go straight into the team, inexperienced, one for the future, also wants to come to Manchester United, wants to go to Real Madrid. There's no decision to be made. It's got nothing to do with the potential or the talent of the player. I mean, we were talking about this last night. If you've got two, like, pretend you like women, right? Or men, if you like men, it doesn't matter. But I'm going to use women as an example because I am. And basically, you've got two women and you know loads about them. I'm not just saying about looks. Let's talk about personality, you know, whether they like football, etc. And you can't, you know, they're both pretty much equal. Like, in your mind, you're allowed to make decisions in life. This is not sexist. You're allowed to make decisions. They're both equal, and you don't know which one you want to ask on a date. One of them really likes you and laughs at your jokes. The other one is like, I will go out with you, but I'm waiting to hear from them because I fancy them. Who are you going to go on a date with? You're going to go on the date, the one that laughs at your jokes. You're not going to go on the date with the one who's checking her phone to see if old bloody Ollie Murs is going to take him on a date. It's obvious. And I'm a little bit concerned. I mean, look, we only get the story from the reputable people. And I don't understand why. I'm quite surprised by this morning. As I said, in no way am I like some people will be panicking and, oh, it's like the Glazers all over again. In no way am I like that. But I can express an opinion, and I'm like, I just cannot see why it's Ligt versus Yoro, and you would prioritise Yoro. I don't know who's advising us on that. I don't know whose idea that is, but football's very simple. I think sometimes football fans, hold up people like Southgate and the FA and the Glazers and Richard Arnold and Ed Woodward and think that they know better than them. They really don't. I've been around football for 10 years. I've loved football all my life, but I've been around the industry for 10 years. And trust me, the people in positions of power do not know more than you. Most of the time they don't. And weird decisions are made. And this one, I'll be honest, stands out as a bit of a weird decision to me. Like, I don't get the Yoro over Ligt thing. I don't get it. And I really don't get it when you've got a player that doesn't want to come and you've got a player that does. And as I said, the best analogy is two people, you can't really split them. You want to ask them out on a date. One of them really, really wants to go out with you. And the other one is like, I will do. I'm just waiting to hear back on that other person. And that to me, that's not a good recipe, really. If Yoro was way better than Ligt, I get it. And maybe that's what Ineos think. Maybe they think Yoro is way better than Ligt. He's 6 years younger. But is Yoro going to come to... Even if we can persuade Yoro, can you guarantee me by the time he's 22, he's not going to be kicking and screaming trying to get to Real Madrid? Yeah. Look, I'd like us to buy both. I think that's where I would leave this and move on. I would like us to buy both. I've got no problem with that. I'm not saying Yoro's crap or anything like that. I would like to go for both. But I do not want Yoro over Ligt. I don't like it. I don't like a player when they want to go to Real Madrid. I mean, we know it's coming with Garnacho. Like, we know we're on borrowed time with that. We had it with Ronaldo as well. We know what when Real Madrid are looming, it's just not what you want to hear. But if he doesn't want to come to if he wants to go to Real Madrid and he's potential, the scary thing is Yoro's not ready. He might not be realising his potential for 3 or 4 years. And then he realises his potential and goes to Real Madrid. I don't get it. But there might be something else going on. But when David Ornstein says it's Ligt or Yoro, and that's the breaking news, it's a worry. It's a worry. Maybe the Branthwaite deal is on and it's between Ligt and Yoro, says Belroy. Well, I think... Well, look, I want to add that in. In the article, David Ornstein makes it very, very clearly that we do want 2 centre-backs, but we don't. But it's not Yoro and Ligt. It's one of them and another. And the reason Branthwaite's wanted is because he's left-sided. I think we want a left-sided centre-back and a right-sided centre-back. So will we go in for an Nacho after Branthwaite when we walk away? We clearly only want one-sided, right-sided centre-back. Samuel says it's worth waiting on Yoro. Sometimes more someone doesn't want you, the more you want him. After Varane need a physically stronger, taller one like Yoro. Ligt is almost as good in the air as Van Dijk and Harry Maguire statistically, and is strong. If we sign Ligt, we're set for the next 6 years. If we sign Yoro, how long do we have before he angles for a move to Madrid, says Muyad. Why bid for Yoro and then agree personal terms with Ligt and Branthwaite? I think this is United playing games with all parties to see if Yoro says yes, says Akil. I would go for Gomez from Veliz and Ligt, says Christian. This is just another media stinker. We don't know what Ineos is doing. How does some crap stirring media gimp know it, says Anthony. I really wouldn't be calling David Ornstein that, Anthony. I mean, with Fabrizio Romano, they are elite. Like, you're basically calling into question Ornstein. I mean, look, you've got the right to do that, Anthony, but not for 1 minute do I think that is not accurate. Martinez played well during the final. Thoughts, says Margot. Yes, very, very good. Can't wait to get him back. Hope he stays fit. Delicate official says sign one centre-back, take Shaw as a left-sided centre-back and sign a starting left-back. Well, we spoke about that yesterday. I would quite like that. I think we're still in for Branthwaite. That's why it's one or the other, says Dazzo. Yeah, and look, remember what I said last night. There is real optimism that this Ineos, Ashworth, Barada, Ten Hag, board, whatever, is going to be really, really competent. Optimism. It doesn't mean they're not going to make mistakes. Do you really think we're going to go from absolute shambles to total perfection? I think there will be mistakes in there. Maybe we'll go and give Everton 55 plus 10, what they want. You know, maybe we will pay stupid money for Branthwaite. Maybe we will ditch the De Ligt deal and bring Yoro in, who's desperate to go to Real Madrid. Would you be happy then? Yoro, who wants Madrid, and Branthwaite getting absolutely done over by Everton for the price. Maybe we will do that. You know, maybe we will. We don't know. I don't think we will. I think we'll walk away from Branthwaite and I think we'll bring De Ligt in and I think we'll get someone like an Nacho and I think we'll all be very, very happy that Man United haven't been ripped off and have brought in players that want to be here. That would be competence. That would be excellence. But we don't know that they're going to not going to drop the ball and do something a little bit strange. We don't know until it happens. And also, as I was saying, are we taking a little bit too long now? You know, I still think there's a window of opportunity over the next week and a half. But I think if we get to the middle of next week and we're not really moving forward on any other deals, I think we're really starting to jeopardise the start of the season like we have done every year for the last 10, where we're bringing players in late. Like I said, Yoro and Branthwaite aren't on holiday. They're pre-season training. So if you want those players, you need them now. They should be on the tour. With De Ligt, he can't be on the tour. With Ugarte, he can't be on the tour. So you've got a bit of time. But with the likes of Yoro and Branthwaite and any other player that's actually in pre-season training, we should be getting those deals done because we've got a game against Fulham in 3.5 weeks. Hi, Mark. I expected something similar. We don't have the funds to buy both, says Karen. United are playing mind games with Bayern and Yoro, says Akil. I want to talk about that. Yeah, exactly. I think this is something I also wanted to bring in. Manchester United could be playing a lot of mind games with a lot of clubs here. Why? Yes, this is from David Ornstein. Manchester United could be playing mind games with a lot of clubs here. And what I mean by that is we've basically moved to a point with Bayern Munich where we're ready to go. And we're also moving to a point with Yoro where we've agreed a deal with Lille. We've agreed personal terms with Branthwaite. So we've got 3 centre-back deals ready to go if Yoro says yes, if Bayern give us a good price, and if Everton give us a good price. All 3 clubs, well, we might end up with none of them, but what might happen is Bayern Munich might see that David Ornstein story and go, if Yoro suddenly says yes, we aren't selling De Ligt. So Bayern Munich might go, shit, we need to get this deal done. Right, let's give favourable terms. It might just be all a bit of bartering. And that would be good at the end of the day. If Bayern pick up the phone and say, look, we'll do a cheaper deal for De Ligt, we just want to get on with it. And United go, there we go, that's what we wanted, let's do it, forget about Yoro. But it might just be as simple as it is. We're waiting to see what Yoro wants to do, and if he wants to come to Man United, it's goodbye De Ligt. We'll have to wait and see. Could be mind games. Do De Ligt and Lindelof work, says Keel? Why would you ask that? How would De Ligt and Lindelof work? Why would you want them to work, Kyle, for a start? But I don't know whether I don't want to think about De Ligt and Lindelof working. I don't want to think about Martinez and Maguire working. I want to sell Lindelof. I want to sell Maguire, and I want to build a new centre back. Ineos are the playboys of the window, and I love it, says Liam. Hi, Mark. Good. You're a good man. Thank you for reading pre-season extract from your book. I will buy it. It oozes Goldbridgeisms. Love it, says Sandeep. Thank you very much for your support, mate. Links in the chat if you want to do that. Links in the video description. Thank you very much. There was something else I wanted to bring in. Yeah, let me just look. There's a few bits around transfers to talk to you about Ugarte, Wan-Bissaka, Ivan Toney. But what was something I wanted to say there about this centre-back situation. Yeah, look, I just think that regardless of where we're going with this, for the first time, I think I'm a little bit nervous, is the word. Not stressed, not frustrated, not angry, not scared, just a little bit nervous, because I felt that when the Euros were on, you could almost go, the Euros are on. A lot of these players are playing in the Euros. They can't do anything. We had no players playing in the final that we were looking to buy from Spain or England. So the Euros for us ended last Wednesday when the semi-finalists went out, which were the Netherlands and obviously Uruguay, Ugarte, although he did play on Saturday. With every passing day now, we get closer to the tour. We get closer to the first game against Fulham. CR says, I've been frustrated since last Monday. I'm just a little bit concerned about how slow we've started to become. If it's Yoro or Ligt, and we're just sat there, what are we waiting on? We're waiting on Lenny Yoro. Like, fuck off. Wait. You know, at the end of the day, he's 18 with potential. What Man United are holding their whole summer transfer window up for an 18-year-old who wants to go to Real Madrid. We're Manchester United. We said this about De Jong. Just move on. Like, move on. Sign Ligt, go for the second centre-back, get the midfielder in, get the left-back in. You know, let's move on. If money, and look, money is clearly an issue here because we're not working on anything else at the moment. We're waiting on what's happening with the centre-back. There are talks, which we'll talk about with other players, but no bids are going in because I think we're waiting to see how much we're going to have to pay for Yoro or how much we're going to pay for Ligt. And everything seems to have gone on hold again. And where we were doing really well in late June and early July was the amount of talks we were having with players and how, you know, things were developing really, really quickly. It was like, seemed to be every couple of days we were being linked to another player, like Ugarte came out of nowhere. So I just would like us to see, you know, it's Wednesday tomorrow, Thursday after that, another week gone. Like, I just would like to see, I'd feel a lot more confident if we did just start to move things forward a bit, because what the concern is, and it's not really Ineos's fault, the concern is the legacy concern. The legacy concern is the fear factor of what we've seen before, where even last summer, Maguire and McTominay were getting bids in and they both end up staying. You know, Lindelof probably needs to go and he ends up staying. Wan-Bissaka probably going to go, but he ends up staying. And, you know, you hit the start of the season and you've still got the same selection of players that, let's be clear, haven't achieved what we needed to achieve over the last 3 or 4 years. So you're not going to remove Lindelof and Maguire when you've not got your new centre-backs in. So I think that I just want to see a little bit of movement here. And at the end of the day, if it's Yoro or Ligt, let's just sign Ligt because I think it's the right deal to do. Skill, welcome to the Members Club. Camboila mistake and Ligt correct sequence, says Alan Casey. Mark, my missus loves you more than me, mate. What should I do? P.S. Come on United, says B7. Well, look, mate, you're safe with me. I'm not going to do anything about it. So, you know, let her admire and you crack on. Keel says, I ask about Ligt and Lindelof because I'm nervous, says Keel. Yeah, I get that. But look, I still believe that one of the things we've seen about Ineos at the moment is they do get it right in the end. Look, we thought they were going to sack Ten Hag. They kept him. They took bloody ages to get Ashworth, but they got him. I think there might be concerns because they're new, but I think they will get there in the end. So look, let's hope that works. James says, thanks for all the updates, Mark. Can't wait for my book to arrive. Keep up the great content. Let's keep all the positivity around our great club. Exactly, James. And things can change very, very quickly. I also think the way that Man United work is that they do keep their finger on the pulse and they are very aware of momentum and fan opinion and fan appeal. We saw that with the Ten Hag stuff. And whilst they may well ignore a story from the Manchester Evening News or, you know, maybe the Mirror or something like that, when they see that David Ornstein story, they know, it's like Romano, they know fans are going to take that as read. And that will be discussed at Manchester United today. Not that they're going to make a decision because David Ornstein's put that out there, but because they know David Ornstein's had that from a very good source. It may well have come from the club. And therefore, Man United will be aware that people are now going, oh my God, why is it one or the other? Just get De Ligt. So it might have been put out there on, you know, I find all this fascinating. And before we talk about this Ugarte story, what if Man United, before they move away from Yoro, have put that story out there because it benefits them? And that's where I wanted to finish before I move on to the next story. We can always come back. But what if Man United have put it out there that it was always Yoro or De Ligt, and we signed De Ligt and end the Yoro story? In which case, mic drop. 68% of you want De Ligt. Yoro wants to go to Real Madrid. You get David Ornstein to put a story out saying it was always De Ligt or Yoro. We've gone with De Ligt. Yoro goes to Real Madrid. Brilliant piece of story. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it is, because David Ornstein will be correct, and he's got very good sources at the moment. Maybe that source is in the club. Maybe this is being put out there because we're exiting the Yoro deal and De Ligt will be done in the next day or so. In which case, happy days. Next season, there will be another 18-year-old prospect coming through. Last year, no one is talking about Yoro or Yamal, says Ahmad. You're true. You're right. I mean, what about the lad at Ajax? I had him on my FIFA career mode. That doesn't mean he's any good in real life, but was it Hato? There's always going to be players coming through. I mean, the great thing about modern football is that the young centre-backs coming through model their game on people like Van Dijk. So there's going to be a load of players coming through like that for the next 10 years. Maybe Ineos are trying to lure by giving him game time. That wouldn't be possible if we buy De Ligt, who would also want to start every week, says Ginto. Yeah, I get that. Vibo says, McTominay wants to always play for us. Should we not sign Ugarte and just keep McTominay? Go for Yoro if he has the higher ceiling. I don't want to keep McTominay, Vibo, but there's a lot of people who do. I accept that. I personally don't care about whether players want to play for Manchester United. It's about talent. You don't get to play for Man United just because you're passionate about Man United. There's got to be talent as well, and that's where we've always got it wrong. We have a collection of players that would die for the badge that aren't good enough, and then we have a collection of players that are good enough that won't die for the badge. And what you need to do is get the Roy Keanes back, get the Paul Inces back, get the Mark Hugheses back, get the Eric Cantonars, the Rooneys. You know, there are players out there that die for the badge and want to play for the club, and that's what we need at Manchester United. And we've gone so wrong with that over the last 10 years, because there's so many players that will give everything that aren't good enough, passion merchants, and then there's so many players that are good enough that won't give everything, and we need to change that. Of course we do. Let me update you on Ugarte. So the latest with Ugarte is almost similar to the centre-back situation, but I've got a theory on this. So the latest on Ugarte, Beth was talking about it at 2 o'clock show yesterday. I think it was from Pletty Goal, that further talks have been held with PSG. And Fabrizio, I think, has retweeted this in recent days as well. So we've held further talks with PSG, but no decision has been made yet. There'll be two reasons why Man United haven't made a decision on Ugarte at the moment. One of those decisions will be we are waiting to see how much money is available after we've bought one of our centre-backs. But more importantly, there is another theory that we might actually have another midfielder in mind. Much like it's De Ligt or Yoro, it might be Ugarte or somebody else. So I think with Ugarte, he can't train pre-season with us until early August because he's only just finished with Uruguay. But there does seem to be a little bit of like patience around that deal, and it's almost as if something else is going on. And I think from the experience of what we've seen with De Ligt and Yoro, and we've just been talking for the last 20 minutes, I think with Ugarte, there is something going on there in relation to, are we looking at somebody else? You know, are we still hanging around for João Neves? I've always said I feel that João Neves is the player that Ineos want. And, you know, if you're confused as to why we're obsessing about Yoro when he's only 18 and wants to go to Madrid, then you'd be less confused about why we might still be harbouring hopes for João Neves, who we've scouted for over a year and we really do want. So there's nothing new about João Neves, by the way. I haven't got a news story to say that we're in. All I'm saying is 2 + 2 sometimes is 4, And with Ugarte, we're definitely holding off on something. We've held talks with PSG twice, maybe 3 times in the last 2 weeks, and yet no bid has gone in. Ugarte wants to come to United again. I don't know whether we've done personal terms, but he does want to come to United. So for some reason, we're holding off on Ugarte. And it could be as simple as the financial situation dictates that we need to do whatever's happening with Ligt and Yoro before we can even move on to Ugarte. Financially, we need to know what we've got. But another part of me thinks, is there another midfielder there where we're like looking at it? And you know, Neves to PSG would mean Ugarte to Man United, I think, but Man United do like Neves. So is there something going on there? Rabiot, I mean, there could be something really left field that we're not even aware about. So, you know, Amrabat, I mean, the story I don't want to read from a David Ornstein or a Fabrizio is, and I do not want to read this story, and I will cry if it happens, is it's Amrabat or Ugarte. And I don't want to ruin anybody's Tuesday morning, but if we get that story, if Casemiro goes, it's Amrabat or Ugarte, I can't speak. That would, you know, I want, if we're going to keep Amrabat, that's got to be separate to Ugarte. Because look, I said this before yesterday, and I think a lot of people would be in agreement now. If I was Man United, when it comes to the midfield roster, Casemiro goes, Eriksen goes, McTominay goes. Those 3 players go, bring in fair amounts of money, clear 3 spaces in the midfield, and then next season you go Mainu, Bruno, Mount, Amrabat, Ugarte, Collier. That's what I'd be looking at as my 6. And of course, in the attacking midfield position, you can also play Xerxes there. You can also pull in Ahmad there if you want to. So that would be my 6. What terrifies me is Casemiro goes, Amrabat, McTominay, Collier, Mount, Bruno, Mainu. So Mount will definitely be a midfield option, Zeph, 100%. He's going to play as a 10 or an 8. We play a 6, 8 and 10. So, yeah, I mean, look, just be wary of that. Not everything might go our way, and it might be that Amrabat or Ugarte's conversation happens. And what about Simmons from PSG as well? Good point. Yeah, he could be an option as well as a loan deal. So, yeah. Savage says Amrabat can't be our starting CDM. What if Mainu's our starting CDM? What if it's Mainu, Mount and Bruno? Sal Maguire and Victor and buy both centre-backs as... says Matra. Fen, welcome to the Members Club. Jintu says, maybe Ineos are trying to learn... Yeah, I've done that one. Thank you very much. Moving on. So that's the latest on Ugarte. When we'll get any development on that, we'll have to wait and see. But we have held more talks with PSG in the last couple of days, but still no advancement on a bid. Something seems to be holding that up. Maybe it's another midfield target. Maybe we're just waiting to see what happens with the centre-back situation. If you tune in a little bit late, David Ornstein says it's Yoro or De Ligt, not both. 68% of you would go with De Ligt. Tristan, thanks for being a member. Thanks for joining. You've been a member for 25 months, in fact. Thank you. You're an absolute legend. Another story coming in this morning is that Wan-Bissaka is very much open to a move to West Ham. This is not shock news. In fact, it was Sam C, who works with the United Stand, who put this out over a week ago, that West Ham want Wan-Bissaka and that a bid will be going in. So it's interesting that that's now being picked up by other people. Obviously, we saw Wan-Bissaka play yesterday. I'm sure he'll play tomorrow, and you'll probably see him on the tour. That doesn't really mean anything. There are a lot of players that play pre-season for a certain club and are still going to move. It's about keeping up fitness. It's about putting yourself in the shop window. Wan-Bissaka, as Darren said, originally from London. Regardless of whether West Ham's in London or it's in Newcastle, I still think it's a really good signing for West Ham to bring in a right back like that. I think Wan-Bissaka will be one of those players, if he leaves Manchester United, that we will look at as a fan base and go, I wish him all the best. You know, he's a nice lad. He was always... you know, I wouldn't say dependable because he's had bad games, but I think with Wan-Bissaka, we know what he is. He's a footballer. No, but what we know with Wan-Bissaka, we know what he is and we know what his limitations are. And I don't think Wan-Bissaka, I think when we bought him, there was talk about him being England's starting right back. You know, when his first season or so, There was genuine chatter about him being England's starting right back. And I think over the 3 or 4 years he's been here, he hasn't been a flop. I wouldn't say he's been a £50 million right back, but he's not been a flop. I think he's not been far off a £50 million right back in relation to what people go for. But what he certainly is, he's not a right back that's going to start for Man City or Arsenal or Liverpool. But he is a right back that can start for West Ham. He is a right back that can start for Everton. He is a right back that could start for Fulham. You know, he's a mid-table, maybe slightly higher. He's not a top 6 right back, but anything from below that, I would argue the case he can be. And I think whoever takes him on, he will do well. And I could see Wan-Bissaka in a West Ham shirt next season doing really well. And as United fans going, I'm really pleased for him. That's his level. That's what he's done. And I think it is time for him to go because there's absolutely no point. Wan-Bissaka, at 26, he should not be sat on the bench for Manchester United. He should be starting for a Premier League club. And that is, I think, what he wants. And I think that is what will happen. Do you think he could do a job at Villa, says Kevin? The way Villa play, I think they need a little bit more going forward. But yeah, Mainu can receive the ball under pressure and play through tight spaces. He can pass and be a deep flying playmaker. If he gets bigger, he's a perfect CDM, says Toad. I disagree. I think Kobbie Mainoo is so good at passing and so good at dribbling that you would be absolutely crazy to play him as a 6 yet. He might develop into that and it might be the position that he wants to play, but I would not put Kobbie Mainoo as a 6. I just think he's so good in tight spaces and he's so magnetic with the ball and in and around the box. He's got these little flicks and touches that, you know, a first touch. So, you know, look at the goal he scored against Wolves. I just don't. I know Rodri scores goals, but I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know about that, if I'm being completely honest. But look, he might develop into that. There's no doubt about. Sorry, I was just trying to pick something out. Oh, there's an update coming in on Jadon Sancho I need to read you as well. What were we talking about there? Completely lost brain blank. If we're bidding 60 million plus for Neves, why not just buy Wharton for that price? Compliments Mainu better, in my opinion. Carrick reborn, says Duncan. Yeah, I've heard about the Wharton stuff, and what I was told is absolutely no chance. Crystal Palace have lost Elise. They may lose Eze. They are not going to lose Wharton this summer. So Crystal Palace would resist any deal for Wharton unless it was silly money. And we haven't got silly money, so that won't happen. Midfield, says Christian. Humlen, Neto, Redondo, Varela, Clemens. I don't think we're linked to any of them, but a good list. Tristan, thank you very much. Mbappe have revealed Madrid as a player today. That is holding up talks. Okay. Højlund, right wing, Lukaku, says Alan. Okay. There was a story I wanted to bring you in. Amrabat from the Manchester Evening News. Amrabat is not training with Fiorentina amid his efforts to secure a move away from the club this summer. Amrabat is eager to extend his stay at Man United, would be open to joining another Premier League club. I mean, that's just an update from Fabrizio Romano, regurgitated by the Manchester Evening News as per usual. I mean, this is literally what we said yesterday. He is waiting on Manchester United. He doesn't want to stay at Fiorentina. We already know that. But there was an update on Jadon Sancho that came in from The Athletic. I think it was The Athletic. Yes, The Athletic have basically said this. It's unclear whether Jadon Sancho remains available for transfer, with Man United saying the focus is now on him taking a full part in pre-season. I mean, again, look, we sort of know this. Man United's stance on Jadon Sancho is that he is part of pre-season. Conversations have been taken place with Sancho and Ten Hag, and the focus is on having a good pre-season. I think at the conclusion of pre-season, into August, offers will come in or they won't, and Man United will have a bigger CV of information to draw upon. I personally think it's a risk. I think we all do. I don't think you can judge a honeymoon period. I mean, if you go back a year ago, the month from pre-season to the start of the season, Sancho did really well. He was playing as a 10. Everyone was like pre-season Pirlo. And it fell apart when the season started straight after the transfer window had closed. So if United and Ten Hag and Sancho have a good month together and go, oh yeah, everything's great again, it wasn't actually pre-season where it went wrong. It's October time when you're not playing much. Maybe you've been late for training. Maybe there's been a fallout. Maybe you're not getting the game time you want. That will be then too late if it goes wrong again and you're stuck with a problem. So I think he's still for sale. I think he's still for sale. And I also think that the player himself, probably still realises that he needs to go. But look, if it turns around, he's another option. But I'm not talking about Sancho here. I'm talking about football in general. I was saying this yesterday about Southgate. A leopard doesn't really change its spots, and in football they very rarely do. These personalities in football are born from being a 14-year-old, being given everything all the way through into your mid-20s. It's very difficult for personalities to suddenly change when footballers are a special type of character surrounded by people who basically wipe their arse, and humility and hard work, if they haven't got it, is very hard to suddenly find. It can happen, but I would say we're just going to have to watch the space with this, because I expect, especially in pre-season, someone like Sancho is going to look really good, but when the season starts, where does he fit in? I said this last season, actually. It's a good point about Sancho. He had a really good pre-season, didn't he? He did. He had a really good pre-season. And a lot of people were getting really excited. And I remember having the conversation. Even if he keeps playing well, where does he fit in? Where does he get into that team? And that was before Garnacho had come through. It was like, we know he's going to pick Antony on the right. We know he's going to pick Rashford on the left, and we know he's going to pick Bruno in the 10. So where does Jadon Sancho start? A year on, there are opportunities, but there are also limitations again. Bruno will be the 10. Mount's the second number 10. Rashford will be on the left. Garnacho will be on the right. So again, where does Sancho fit in? And also, I think when you mention Sancho, you have to mention Amad, because Amad will leave if we prioritise Sancho, because Amad will be, I want to play. I want to challenge Rashford and Garnacho. I want to play. If you're putting me behind Sancho, I'm off. And that will happen. Man United want to keep Amad, but he will knock on the door and say, I want to go, if he figures out that he's now behind Sancho and maybe even Antony as well. So there's a lot of things there. And let's not forget, United do want to buy a winger as well. So do we not buy a winger now? I'm not sure if you remember who I am. Sometimes do super chats, as Mitesh, but I love your channel. Your videos have helped me so much during my low times. That's great, Mitesh. So many people say this, and I think it's so important. And I think it's not just for me or the people who work with the United Stand. I think it's the community as well. I don't think anybody... I don't necessarily realise it. I did when I started doing some of the live shows and you speak to people. We're all part of this community, and the impact it has on people, just being there every morning at 10, 2 o'clock, 8 o'clock, familiarity, community, it's important to a lot of people, and I think you're all part of that, so well done. Christian says, Sancho offers nothing. We need wingers like Gordon. Yeah, we're never going to get... I'd love Anthony Gordon at Man United. We'll never get him. I'd swap Rashford for Gordon. That's going to... Will that get clipped and get me a load of shit? It shouldn't. Well, I mean it. I genuinely mean it. I'd swap Sancho for Gordon. I'd swap Rashford for Gordon. I think Sancho and Rashford flair are very, very good. But what I like about Anthony Gordon, and bloody hell, he's got a CV as one of the most creative wingers in the Premier League in a poor Newcastle side, is what I like about Anthony Gordon is his personality. I've seen a couple of interviews with him. I saw the Gary Neville one. An incredible drive and personality, which you can't buy in the modern game. I mean, we were just talking about that. The modern footballer, arrogant, people wipe their arse. So when you come across a player like that, like a Bruno Fernandes, you grab hold of them. Anthony Gordon's personality is incredible. His drive to win is incredible. But then on the pitch, he's also a winger that works hard as well. You know, like Ji-sung Park was actually a decent winger, but worked hard as well. And Anthony Gordon's got goals, creativity, pace, and he works ridiculously hard. And he's a bit of a shithouse as well. He will get his foot in and get involved. I would love a player like that at Man United. You know, Rashford at his very best offers something that, you know, I don't think Anthony Gordon can cut in and shoot from 40 yards in the top corner. There's more explosive pace from Rashford, but I think Anthony Gordon, you know, Rashford on his best day can probably hit a 10, but Anthony Gordon will give you 8 or 9 out of 10, 90% of the time. I would take him. I would definitely take him. I'm not sure if you have done that one. Thank you very much. Sancho offers nothing to have done that. Get Ligt and now look for the next Yoro, says Jordan. We should forget. Exo says we should forget and not waste our time on Yoro. He has his heart set on Madrid. We could go for Diamonde. Mando's just gifted 5 memberships as well. You're an absolute legend, mate. Somebody just said, do you think we're going to get anything today? I don't know, really. You know, I always felt that yesterday was a day where something might happen. I always felt that Ligt was ready to go with a here we go, but it feels like we've now had the update why that's not happened. David Ornstein's given it. We are Yoro or Ligt, and if Yoro's still like, oh, I want to go to Madrid, how long do Man United wait before they actually go and do something about it, I suppose? So, yeah, I guess we'll wait and see what happens with that. I spoke to you about Wan-Bissaka, haven't I? Oh, Ivan Toney. Somebody was on about that this morning. Christian, welcome to the Members Club. You're a legend. On Ivan Toney, it was a load of bollocks last week that he'd chosen Man United. He is now back from the Euros, and the latest with Toney is that was always going to be a really difficult deal. There's not a deal ready to go with him. He has got to have a holiday now. What I was told is that don't be surprised if the Ivan Toney deal goes into August, late August, because it might not be able to move much while he's on holiday. Brentford, not going to be an easy club to deal with, and there's no real definitive option there. What I was told is that Man United is not the club that that they're going to end up with. So there we go. Apparently Southgate is going to leave England. That's coming out very soon, very shortly, probably 11 o'clock drop. Yeah. Okay, everyone. Thanks everyone for watching this morning. Take care. We're back at 2 o'clock unless anything happens before then. Absolute legends this morning. 68% of you want Ligt, by the way. And we'll see what happens. But 8 o'clock show is normal tonight. 2 o'clock show. Let's see what the day brings. But I'm with you. I would definitely want Ligt. Take care, everyone. Speak to you in a bit.